Hi, and welcome to our first podcast. So, I'm Nicola Boyle and I'm here with Victoria Leaf today. Hi, Victoria.
Hello.
So, we're going to go through an introduction to us really today. Um, and I guess I'm going to throw to Victoria with the first question. Um, who are you?
Wow, who am I? Great question. I'm still figuring that out, I think. But in the generic sense, if you like, um, I'm a bit of a traveller, if I'm honest. As you know, I've spent a little bit of time in different countries and experienced different cultures and a little bit nomadic in that sense. So anyway, I like to think so. I know we all can sometimes have a warped perception of ourselves, but Um, yeah, that's me. I think I'm open and very broad-minded. Um, my experience in terms of the who am I has been quite eclectic. It's been quite colourful over the years. So I started out in a family business in printing and packaging and was in that for 14 years. And I've been a jack of all trades, really. Been able to turn my hand to many different things and challenges. And we were talking earlier about some of our roles, and I think we've got a lot of similarities.
Mhm.
But one of the nicknames that I did scoop along the way from a few years ago was CEO, but not in the normal sense. It was like Chief Excrement Officer because having that skill of being able to deal with challenging situations,
Mm,
with a smile. So, and I
mm,
enjoy it. I love variety. So, yeah, I don't know if that answers who am I. I think we're all, I think we're all evolving, aren't we? Who I
mm.
am now is not who I was 20 years ago, 10 years ago. Um, I'm in my 40s now and I'm feeling really good about who I am, or at least this version of myself. What about you? Who are you?
Do you know, I thought about this question and I don't know if we truly ever know who we are, or actually, let me reframe that. Do we ever stop searching? Um, but I can tell you a bit about my background. So I have over 24 years experience in the corporate world, largely within learning and development and professional training. But I've also had many roles, from recruitment to ops, and became a director from a young age. And I think by chance encounter, in the latter part of my career, I landed upon a position supporting a global professional body for coaching and fell in love with what I was seeing. And I am now an executive coach and a leader coach trainer. I do that with Victoria. um, and I think that's really where I've kind of come into my own. Like you say, Victoria, I am in my 40s and you never stop growing. And I think coaching has empowered me to do that. And it also has helped me, it's been an absolute privilege to support individuals and help them. Um, so who am I is a good question. I like I like the me now. Um, if I'm gonna go into the personal me, I think it does overlap a bit with the professional me. So, and you'll know this. So I like to, I like things that are fun. I love my family, my dog, who is also part of my family. But actually, I think reflecting, I'm really passionate about growth. And I think coaching has done that for me.
Yeah, definitely. Similar for me. I mean, my coaching journey started out probably about 12 years ago and without realizing it, I suppose.
Mm,
Having those open questions or asking those maybe uncomfortable questions to others, but then really having a deep conversation. I think I'm quite a deep person anyway, but I've always, from quite a young age, wanted to know what makes people tick and what can I do to help, and that innate kind of seed of wanting to make things a little bit easier or better for people. But yeah, so I think adopted like a leader coach style, and it's just grown from there. I think you get the most out of people. I think that was an observation kind of in the earlier days.
Mm.
Like if you spend the time with people and creating that space, it was what I was talking about yesterday on a different piece. But yeah, having that space is something that's really been profound for me, and that has
Mm.
helped me grow. When you've got the space to see who you actually are. I mean,
Mm.
without doing coaching and becoming qualified, I wouldn't have known what that even meant.
Exactly. You can't, I think it's the reflection piece for me. Even that question, that opening question, who am I? Without going through the training and understanding what coaching is, I think aspects of coaching, everyone does a bit of it. I think without even knowing it, and in my life, as a manager, I think I've done it. Um, but actually understanding it and everything it stands for, and being able to reflect on who I am and what I've done, that's all come from coaching.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's pretty special. Um, so I've got another question actually. Because for those that don't know, Victoria and I met, what was it now? 7 years? 7
7 years.
years ago. Um, we actually met at this professional body for coaching, and we connected immediately because we have lots in common. And we both actually went through kind of executive training to be a coach together. So we went on that journey together, but we trained at separate places. So we weren't in the room together, but we did come together to kind of talk about it and learn from each other. So that's been a journey in itself. And one of the reasons we're here today is because Victoria said something to me um, many years ago and said, "We can do this." That meant a lot, actually. So she coached me as well. It wasn't just her saying, "We can do this," and telling me what to do, but she did really empower me because I thought we couldn't. Um, because of our background and because we've got similarities, we have both been directors from a young age. We've both had many roles in corporate organizations. And to be honest, we've been good at them. Um, and we've learned things being a coach. We wanted to give that empowerment to other individuals. We want to share our knowledge with other individuals because coaching is only kind of made things better for us in our lives. And so we wanted to train, and out of that was born Leader as Coach. So we have Leader as Coach where we train individuals with coaching skills. And don't be put off by the name, because leader doesn't have to represent a ranking of authority or a role, because you can be a leader in any part of your life. You could be a leader in your home life, you could be a leader at work, but there are many forms to be a leader. um and so that's why we're here today, that's why we're talking. And I just want to throw to you, Vic, putting you on the spot. What does it mean? What is Leader as Coach to you? What are we doing?
Yeah, I might touch on, but build on what you've just said there, actually, before I answer the question. There was something that came up for me about the learning piece, which does link in.
Mm.
I think we both have that lifelong learning mentality. And how do you learn? You learn from others.
Mhm.
And we've always had a passion and an interest in that. and we want to grow as people in whatever, in whatever space of your life. Yeah, I'm always seeking growth. Like you say, there's that word seeking again.
Mhm.
What are we trying to do with Leader Coach? I suppose share the skills that we've learnt. We've both worked in organizations. We've had conversations where, maybe communication hasn't been, great. And I'm sure in all organizations we can all do more with communication. And again, we've looked at challenges, that again, that's a commonality with us. Like, what are people's challenges? Where's the need? How can we help?
Mm.
And I think one of the biggest reoccurring thematic areas that comes up is attrition. And we've talked about, people leave managers, not organizations. So it's about how we're presenting as managers or leaders. And
Yeah.
again, I love that we have that inclusivity, like you said, like don't be put off by the term leader,
Mm.
because anyone, no matter who you are or what your job is, if you are in a position where you are inspiring someone or you've got the opportunity to make a difference to someone in any capacity, then
Yeah.
you're a leader. You're helping them. So what we're doing is we want to equip anyone. I know our go-to phrase is, managers and leaders, but really anyone, we want to equip anyone with the tools and the skills to have coaching conversations, with the end goal of wanting to have better communication for all different types of reasons. Um,
It
yeah,
really is for everyone, isn't it?
yeah,
It truly is. That's just made me think actually, because we've had a couple of cohorts now, haven't we? Leader as Coach. Um, and they're from observation at the end. It's something, I'm just going to go back to what you said about learning from others. So here's a disclaimer. I am not very academic and never have been. So when I first entered into a coach training course, I thought, oh, how am I going to get through this? But it really is about being with others. It's about conversation. It's not about kind of your intellect really, or how academic you are, but making, just like you said, Victoria, being able to hold a conversation, those communication skills. It's more than just those basic communication skills that we're taught at school. It's much deeper than that, but they are great skills to have. And yeah, I just think it's a fantastic opportunity because you can use it in other areas as well. I mean, resolving conflict, having a difficult conversation. I mean, you would not think that communication skills would be able to do that, and coaching skills, but what it has helped. It definitely has helped. It's helped me. I don't know about you.
yeah. Again, like another hot topic, how to have difficult conversations or challenging conversations. It equips you with that.
Mm,
And again, you just touched on basic communication. Listening is basic communication, isn't it? Listening.
yeah,
But
yeah,
we all know there's nothing new. A lot
yeah.
of us are listening to respond. We've all reached this point, however old we are, and there's an element of unlearning of how we communicate. Um, active listening, truly being active and present while you're listening to someone, taking away your biases, even trying to meet that person where they're at.
Mm,
We all have these perceptions of different situations. As we grow up, you could be in a family with lots of brothers and sisters.
mm,
But if you ask each one of them, they've all got a different memory of the exact same experience, but they've all got a different perception of, their own, how they took that. And yeah, I think again, it's about the word space is coming up. Maybe maybe
I think it's
space is
because you did
topic
that
for me.
post, didn't you, about space? And I think it's because of that, and it's resonated.
Yeah,
Um,
But it really is like in that space, being able to listen. And in a work context, we're all busy, everyone's
Mm.
got so much to do. We can be overwhelmed.
Yeah.
Uh, what are you bringing into work? What are you bringing into the meeting? And I think if you can just put that at the door
Mm.
and be present, um, and listen and really listen. Yeah.
Yeah. And we say the word listen, but there are many ways to do that, which we do run through on the course. Um, I actually want to go back to that because Victoria did a really great video on our LinkedIn page yesterday about space and psychological safety, and listening. We have a model that we run through on the course called Leader. And so Victoria highlighted the L and the E on that video. So if you do want to have a listen, please head to our LinkedIn page. There's one word that always stands out for me. One of the letters represents experiment, and just talking about, how communication skills, how coaching skills can help overall. They can help teams, that they'll equip you with the skills you need to go into your daily role. And if you're managing a team, for example, are you a teacher? Are you kind of looking after kids at school? All of these things, it's really transferable. But one of the things that stands out to me with the experiment, is whilst it will, our course, those skills will equip you for being, a great manager, a great leader, having coaching conversations with the team. There is another aspect to this, and that's, and I actually, I think Victoria's going to smile when I say this because we're both guilty of this. And we are, as we started out at the start of this podcast, we're still growing, we're still learning. Um, as a leader, we have difficulty letting go. So we take things on and we go, oh, do you know what? It's quicker if I do it. But I know and they don't know. So I'll just do it and I'll take it on. It'll be quicker, much easier. So what that means is the team don't ever get to do it. So the pressure is on you as an individual in the workplace to continuously do it. Um, when in reality, we do need to let the individual do it. And if they don't do it right the first time or the second time, they will the third time. And if they do it right the third time, they can then teach the other person to do it right the third time. And by the time you know it, then the whole team are doing the thing that you said, I'll just take on and do. And it's actually a bit like that. I think these coaching skills facilitate you as an individual, as a leader, to be able to say, hold on, let's see what the capabilities of the team are. Can they take this on? Let's ask them. Um, and I think I'm going back to the experiment part in that leader model. So experiment is go away from that coaching conversation, keep practicing, experiment on what you've just learned, what's come out of that coaching session. But also, it's a good way. I'm actually going to flip it. We can also experiment at being great leaders and keep keep coaching, keep using the coaching style, keep that coaching approach going in your everyday role. Um, yeah, it's kind of, is there a letter that screams out to you? Is it, have you got any thoughts on experiment, Victoria?
Yeah, I think lots of ease. It's the empowering as well, like you gave that anecdote, which
Yeah.
is, I'm sure, you know, common for a lot of managers and leaders.
Mm,
Again, we're only human. We've got to
mm,
acknowledge that we are only human, and we've all found efficient ways to work, and we know our way because we've done it for so many years.
mhm.
But it's challenging those existing ways of working. And I think again with that learning's coming back into it. But I'd love to learn if someone else has got a better way, a quicker way, a faster way. Um, and I think it's about letting go a little bit as well, and empowering. Uh,
Mm.
just because we've always done it this way, and this is the right way, somebody might have a really great idea. And I
Mm,
think, when you open up to that way of working where it evolves and there's flexibility and adaptability, they are great organizations. Now you're getting into high performing teams where
yeah.
there is a safe space to feedback, to, if someone, you know, does something a certain way and someone feels empowered to say, hey, I've got an idea. I just
Yeah.
think that's
And
great.
and can you imagine? And there'll be critics in the team. There'll be people that say, "Oh, I don't think that's going to work." Facilitating that discussion so you get to the end result. I mean, that's the bit that I love the most, actually. Getting in a room with a team and all having a discussion and it being led, but their decisions and actions are being led by the team. So there's buy-in. There's
Yeah.
buy-in already. The end result is buy-in, and they come up with the ideas. What's the best way to do that? What's the best way to complete this project? They tell you.
Yeah.
Great. You've got the buy-in, they're going to go away, they're going to do it. What an amazing opportunity, what an amazing way to be part of a team and how to run a team. And like you said, people leave managers, not businesses.
And you feel valued, everyone wants to be heard, everyone wants to have a voice. I think all of us, again, innately at a human level,
Yeah.
want to have a voice. And if you're in
Mm,
a team where there's, a process and a system, and this is the way we do it, and go off and do it, and everyone knows their place, and no one ever kind of evolves or experiments with new ways, no matter
mm.
how small, um, you're going to get into a wheel. You're going to be on the wheel, aren't you?
The ship is going to sail for the business and
Yeah.
for the individual, really. But it's all about that growth, and it's a little bit about self-care as well, because people go to the gym. I heard this somewhere the other day. People go to the gym and it's about muscle memory and, working out on, like, I need to work out on my tummy or I need to run. But we never really think about doing that for our minds. And you might know the right thing to do is ask questions and listen to your team. But it surprises me on our cohorts that we've had, at the end of it, the things that we learn and the growth that we have. And it is about muscle memory for the mind. And even if it's just a refresher, um, how helpful going back and just going, okay, well, I know how to listen. I did active listening when I was 15 at school, but even there is it's deeper and it actually just, you go, oh God, yeah, I forgot about that. I didn't do that. I wasn't present. I was listening, but I was actually thinking about the dinner that I've got to make when I get home for the kids. So all of that stuff, yeah, our course encompasses that. It just brings it back again. That muscle memory in the mind. It's growth for the mind. Go right back to where we started on this podcast. I'm passionate about growth. And I think everyone should be a little bit passionate about growth, whatever that is, for them. Um, but certainly, growth is what you'll have in abundance with coaching.
One of the things came up for me then when you were talking about when we were doing our coaching. And I think one of the things I struggled with actually was the opening questions.
Mm,
And that was really mind-blowing for me. Again, there's this reflection piece,
mm,
and you do get to experiment with the questions again. You know,
mm,
as a leader or a manager, keep experimenting. I realized as I was reflecting when I was the one asking questions that I say closed questions a lot of the time, is starting with is.
mm,
Just
mm.
gonna get one word answers.
It's
Yeah,
not easy to train your brain to do that, to, not ask closed questions. You really have to think about it. And I mean, we do run through that on the course, and practice that. But it's a really good point you make, because I think this is where, certainly for me, I'm not going to speak for you, but when I came into the coaching world, I automatically assumed that I was doing it in my role. And yeah, there were aspects of it, but I probably wasn't doing it properly. And yeah, just like you say, I'd ask it closed questions, why questions. So yeah, it's really important to kind of be aware of that when you're doing it.
What would you say is your golden nugget from coaching for others listening?
Oh, for me, and I harp on about this all the time, probably bored of hearing me say this, but for me, it was the presence. I think that's the thing that actually lit me up inside. I went to an event and it was on presence. And I was just in the background as kind of a helper and support. And I thought, wow, I didn't even know this was a thing. I knew that you could like present, but I wasn't sure what presence actually meant. And for me, um, that's life changing. Truly being present is life changing for someone,
Mm,
for yourself, because actually, I find if you're really present in a coaching conversation, you learn something too. But for the other individual, for the recipient of that, it means so much. They're being heard, you're listening to them, and you truly are listening. So someone who's busy, um, you probably aren't actually truly being present, or understand how to be, because you're so busy. And that's fine, that's okay. um but it for me, it's presence, and it's kind of understanding the impact that makes on a team, on an individual, for yourself. So that's
yeah.
kind of my golden nugget. What about you?
It's linked to presence, and I think it comes back to what you were saying earlier about the transferable, you know, skill set of coaching. I've equally had as much impact in my own personal life as
Mm,
my career, and having that presence with yourself. So
mm,
my golden nugget is one of the things a lot of us learn is about time to think, Nancy Klein, and having that time to think, which again, it's presence with yourself. Like
mm.
you've just said, we're all busy. And when we've had a busy day, we want to get busy relaxing.
Yeah,
But but when we relax, a lot of it's just distraction in a different form. It's watching telly and I think when you allow yourself to be present with yourself, somebody
mm,
said something this week, make an appointment with yourself. And I
I
love
love
that.
that.
Yeah. So it's
Yeah.
being present with yourself and having that time to think, like truly think.
Mm.
Because a lot of the time we're an autopilot. And that's what's been most profound for me from, all of the coaching skills. There's always different ways. And I suppose it does link back to experiment because when you've got the time to think, even if it's a couple of minutes to just be present with yourself, to
Mm.
focus and think, um, yeah, you can see things in completely different light.
Yeah. So we're going to wrap up because we could talk forever. Thank you for joining us. There'll be another podcast soon. We'll
Speak
speak to you
to
soon.
you.